right, yes indeed we are back for another edition of Saints Live. Good afternoon everyone from the Stevenson Dining Hall on the campus of Limestone College and over the airwaves of 104.3 FM WZZQ, Gaffney's Hot FM. Have a nice crowd out here with us this afternoon. Student athletes in here chowing down a little bit, everybody taking on a little bit of grub before they head out for practices this afternoon. And also, I'm sure, trip to the library, open up those books and do a little studying. Let's see all who is paying attention in here with us this afternoon. Everybody having a good lunch so far? All right. See, they're chowing down, so it's kind of quiet in here. But, again, great to have everybody with us this afternoon. We have a lot to bring your way over the next 30 minutes up until 1 o'clock. We're going to talk women's field hockey and football. DeAnthony Neal, running back for the football team, will join us a little later. He's out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And then we're going to talk with the women's field hockey standout, Rachel Goromonzi, who hails from Zimbabwe. So we'll be talking with those two student athletes coming up in just a bit. A couple of fall sports teams here at the Rock are off to phenomenal starts to their 2014 seasons, and one of those, the women's field hockey program, which is rated number 6 in the nation, undefeated, and the men's soccer team is undefeated right now, moving up to number 3 in the latest NCAA Division II national rankings. Now, I heard some of the field hockey. Do we have some other field hockey players in here with us today? No, okay, yeah. Somebody back there, I think, was a little confused as to which sport we were talking about. But no, women's field hockey and men's soccer off to sensational starts to their seasons. Also, very special time is approaching here at Limestone, and that is Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame inductions will be a little later, but homecoming weekend is coming up. It all begins next Monday, week-long activities, Monday, September 22nd through Sunday, September 28th. Homecoming week, a lot of events are planned throughout that 7-day period. More information on Homecoming 2014 available at GoLimestoneSaints.com and limestone.edu. Also, don't forget, as part of the big weekend activities coming up this weekend, an unexpected home game for the Limestone football team. That on Saturday evening, as it's a matchup of the Saints at the reservation, as Limestone plays host to College of Faith. Free admission on Fan Appreciation Night this Saturday evening. The game starts at 7 o'clock. The Limestone Student Athletic Advisory Council will have buckets out there to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And in lieu of admission charges for that game on Saturday, they're asking that if you see one of those Make-A-Wish donation buckets to please make a donation to that worthwhile charity. Stadium gates will open at 5:30 on Saturday. The parking lots for all that tailgating opening at 3, and of course game kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Again, that's this Saturday night at the reservation as Limestone plays host to College of Faith in what should be an entertaining college football game. Not many times you can go watch football free of charge, but an opportunity to do that and much more. So we're rocking and rolling on the latest edition of Saints Live. A little later we're going to talk with DeAnthony Neal of the football program, but when we come back, we're going to start off with women's field hockey and Rachel Goromonzi. Then we continue after these messages on Gaffney's Hot FM. On Gaffney's Welcome back, everyone. It's another edition of Saints Live, continuing from the Stevenson Dining Hall on the campus of Limestone College. I'm Fabian Fuentes. Special thanks here to Dennis Fowler, and back at studio control to Dennis Fowler. Of course, folks also getting to watch the video replay of this. Want to thank Trey Bloomer for his efforts behind the scenes as well. Women's field hockey, still relatively somewhat of a new sport here at Limestone, but a fantastic season right now. Saints perfect as we do this interview, moving up to as high as number 6 in the latest national ratings. And we're joined by one of the standouts of the women's field hockey program in Rachel Goromonzi. And it's good to see you again.
Oh, good to see you, Fabian. Thank you for having me today.
It's certainly our pleasure. What a season so far. Tell us, obviously we know you're unbeaten as you and I do this interview, but what's been the key to the early success?
There's been great emphasis on our defense, so I think that's actually helped us get 4 shutouts. And our attacking efforts have been brilliant. We've been executing and using our opportunities wisely against our opponents.
One of only a handful of seniors on the field hockey team. It's incredible that you're off to the season that you've started. Tell me a little bit about being a senior leader on what is a young team.
I would say it's quite difficult to be a senior because you're always used to being in the back, and growing with the program and as an individual is just a good thing. And having a lot of freshmen, the standard is set higher. You have to be an inspiration. You have to make sure that everyone's doing the right thing and putting them in the right places.
Now, you've certainly been in the right places during your career at Limestone, because you're not only a 2-time All-American, but you're also the program's all-time leading scorer. So, Rachel, I got to ask you, what's been the key to your consistent success?
It's definitely exceeding expectations and just doing the hard work and putting in the time and effort off the field when you're out of season, because that's what matters the most. It's what you're doing when you're out of season. It just helps you get in the program when you're in season now.
That's one of the sayings that you hear quite a bit from coaches. The real season starts now, and that real season starts right after that final game of the year, because that off-season program is so key to success.
Yes, it is. Over the summer, I make sure that I train every day, and I have a really good coach who just takes me through all my games and my drills and helps me get more strengths and helps me with my weaknesses so I can improve my game.
Rachel Goromonzi, women's field hockey standout, is our guest during this segment of Saints Live. I want you to share with our viewers and listeners where you're from. They tried to give you a drum roll in the back there. Where are you from?
I'm from Zimbabwe. It's in Africa. It's a very small country. It's in the southern part. It's very different from America, obviously. America is more developed, but in terms of the hockey style, it's very similar. It's quite diverse, and we just bring something different to the plate when we come to the American country.
Tell me about making that decision to come play women's field hockey here at Limestone for Lindsey Jackson, coming into a young program. But tell us about making that decision, Rachel.
I just wanted to play for a college that just would bring the best out of me. And I guess what really made me come here was the coach's personality. She maintained communications. She was very enthusiastic. She assisted me in every way possible and just showed that she really wanted me to come as a player. And I just wanted to find a place where I could actually grow as a player and exploit this talent that I have.
Now, Rachel Goromonzi, women's field hockey, is our guest. You recently, and this is a pretty prestigious honor to be up for, but you were recently up for the Zimbabwe Women's Athlete of the Year Award. Tell us about that award.
At first, when I got the announcement, I actually thought it was a joke. I didn't believe it, but I found it to be a great honor to be like compared and being put on the same stage with like professional athletes and people with experience, and it's just something nice when you see people showing interest in you when you're just doing what you're doing and without regard of who's watching. And when you get that recognition, it's actually an honor. I didn't win the award, I was a second runner-up, but I did get a lot out of it, and I was happy with that.
Now, being a student athlete is very hectic in this day and age because you've got your practices, your off-season workouts, but you're also in the classroom as well. And Rachel is a double, you have a double major. Why don't you tell us those?
Yes, I'm double majoring in business management and marketing. Yes, it's hard, but then you always have to find a balance because you need something to fall back on if your sporting career doesn't work on, and academics is everything. So you have to strike that balance and make sure you excel both on and off the field.
Let me ask you about the facility upgrades here at Limestone. A lot of folks may not realize this, but the preferred surface for field hockey is an artificial surface. And for years, you had to play on the natural surface here. It wasn't until you went on the road and played some opponents that you were able to play on the synthetic surface. Now we have one of those state-of-the-art surfaces here, have the brand new field house out there at the field as well. What kind of a difference, Rachel, has that made for you and your teammates?
It's made a really big difference because before we're down on Timken, and with such like upgrades, you also have to like up your game and make sure that it's being utilized to its fullest potential. And the surface is brilliant. It just improves your game more. The pace is faster. It just looks better. The hockey just makes it look better. Now,
I didn't say I was going to ask you this question, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it out here. Let's say Coach Jackson, and this may have already happened for you. It's okay. Rachel's looking at me. She's not sure what it is I'm going to ask, but let's say Coach Jackson has a group of recruits on campus, and Coach Jackson says, Rachel, I'd like you to talk with some of these young ladies about coming to Limestone. What would you talk to them about in order to get them to seriously consider coming to Limestone?
I'll tell them that Limestone is a very unique college. It's growing, and it's something you'd like to be a part of because history is being made on a daily basis, and it's a very good privilege to be a part of it. The teams and the sports, they're all excelling, and we're achieving great things, and it's just something to be good. It's just something to be nice to be a part of, and I would really recommend this college because I came here, I'm having fun, I'm using the resources to their fullest potential and ability, and I'm sure they could do the same for themselves.
Well, Rachel, it's been great to have you with us today on Saints Live, and off to another great season, and we look forward to continued success as you're just one of a handful of seniors trying to keep what looks like could be a historic season for women's field hockey moving into grooving.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Rachel Goromonzi, women's field hockey, is our guest. Stay with us. We're going to go to the game of football and talk with DeAnthony Neal when we continue from the Stevenson Dining Hall on the campus of Limestone College. Saints Live will continue after this on Gaffney's Hot FM. All right, welcome back, everyone, as Saints Live continues here on WZZQ 104.3 FM, also available online at WZZQradio.com. On location from the Stevenson Dining Hall, Saints Live each and every Thursday afternoon, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Going to make the transition to the football field right now and talk with one of the many redshirt freshmen with the Saints first-year gridiron program in DeAnthony Neal. Thanks for taking time to join us, DeAnthony.
You're welcome.
You've already had a piece of history in what is a season of first, so to speak, for the Limestone football program.
Yes, sir.
You scored the first touchdown. Tell us about that.
Well, we were on the 1 yard line. We just call it super ISO, which is basically a wildcat formation where I'm at quarterback. Just a direct snap and punched it in for the touchdown.
What was that feeling like? I scored the first touchdown in program history.
It was amazing. Definitely like for that to re-happen again, but Yeah, it was just pretty good.
DeAnthony, what's it like to be a part of something from the ground up? Obviously, you're a part of that first recruiting class. You went through the proverbial red shirt season last year in which you're practicing, but there were no games. And I know that had to be tough, but now you're playing football games. What's it been like now as compared to last year?
Now it's better. We got games to look forward to, so there's more excitement in the practices. Everybody's a little more focused and wanting to like capitalize and do everything, make sure the technique is right. So with practice, you could tell that we're more excited and more into it.
Now,
ready to play.
You were a former standout at East Forsyth High School up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Saints head coach Bobby James was telling me that he was looking at you back when you were a junior up there at East Forsyth. Tell me about making the decision to join a first-year program.
Well, the decision, it really wasn't that hard for me. I like the Coach James' personality. That really spoke a lot to me, and a chance to like get to start off equally. Like, you don't have a senior over you. You get to work and like show what you got and get the chance to start. So it's equal competition. That's what really got me to come here on campus.
You're a standout on the football field, but I think more impressive than that is you were named to the Conference Carolina's Presidential Honor Roll for your efforts last year. You carried a perfect 4.0 GPA your fall semester of a year ago. How were you able to accomplish that and at the same time adjust to college life and practicing football?
Tutoring, study hall, just stay in the library a lot, just constant work, nonstop.
How about finding that time with a hectic schedule that you've got with football? You also have weightlifting, and then you also go to class, study. Tell us about making sure you budget time for all that.
Basically, I just see it's like being disciplined and mature. Like, you know, like not going out playing around and stuff. Like, just basically staying on top of your work and wanting to succeed. That will help you manage your time correctly and efficiently to where you do succeed in college.
What was it like 2 weeks ago when you hopped on the bus, went from the Limestone campus over to the football stadium, knowing that September 6th, the day had finally arrived, and we were going to get to play against someone and hit someone other than our own teammates? Tell us about getting up that morning and about what it was like to be able to play in that game.
Intense. Intense. You can see that all of the teammates' faces, like they were just ready to show Gaffney what we're made of, and that we're ready and here to play.
Now you come down to Limestone and you come to Gaffney. It is a football tradition-rich community. What about the crowd support that we saw in that first game?
Oh, the crowd support was amazing. Never in my football career have I seen the stands filled like that. And they just showed so much support for the football team.
Now, the first 2 games of the season, you played a couple of perennial national powerhouses, and you were in those football games for 3 quarters. Now you're coming back for a 2-game home stretch. In 2 weeks, you'll have Alderson Broadus coming in for homecoming. But this Saturday, you have College of Faith coming in. A season of first continues that we've talked about. It's the first home game under the lights at the reservation. Are you looking forward to that experience?
Yes, very much. I feel like we're able to beat College of Faith as long as we stay fundamentally sound and do what we're supposed to.
You know, Coach James, the head coach of the program here, Bobby James, talks about one block at a time. One block at a time. You have that same philosophy?
Yes, sir. Just do what you're supposed to, and if you mess up at 100%, and just move on to the next play.
All right, DeAnthony, listen, best of luck not only in the next coming weeks as Limestone plays back-to-back home football games, but thanks so time for coming and joining us, taking a little bit of time out of your schedule.
Thank you.
DeAnthony Neal, football standout, our guest on this latest segment of Saints Live. We invite you to stay tuned. We're going to come back and drop the curtain when we continue from the Stevenson Dining Hall when Saints Live continues after this on Gaffney's Hot FM. Back to close it out on this latest edition of Saints Live. We want to thank Rachel Goromonzi, women's field hockey standout, and also DeAnthony Neal from the Limestone football team for being our guests this week. Always great to talk to student athletes here at The Rock. More news and notes on Limestone Athletics available online at the official website and home of Saints Athletics. Go limestonesaints.com. Next week, we're going to talk to men's lacrosse coach J.B. Clark, among other guests. Big 25-year lacrosse anniversary reunion coming up next week. And as part of that big reunion weekend, the 2013 members of the Limestone lacrosse program will be presented with their national championship rings. So that and much more when we return next week for another edition of Saints Live from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Again, thanks here on location to Dennis Fowler, and back in studio control to Jonathan Fitch. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. I'm Fabian Fuentes. This has been Saints Live on Gaffney's Hot FM.